Hello and welcome back to Lorcana Villain. My name is Baker and today we'll be taking a look at the top 8 deck lists for a 2K event in Cardwell, Ohio. A lot of the information that I'm going to be giving you today comes from TCG Player, the website, which you can see here. And I'll just quote this bit here. In Cardwell, Ohio, as the Lost Boys join forces with Apex Gaming and TCG Player to bring you a 2K TCG Player Invitational qualifier. The first of two, both of which qualify players for the $5,000 TCG Player Invitational on October 21st, also hosted by Apex Gaming. I'm a little late to this party. This was like 5 days ago. But the second of the two qualifiers is going to be on the 14th, and we will cover that, and we'll be more timely with that. And then the 5K sounds really, really interesting. So yeah, I'm a little late to this party, but we are going to be looking at these deck lists. A huge thank you to TCG Player, where most of my information concerning the actual placement of the deck lists comes from. Also, shout out to the Lost Boys, who have this YouTube channel here. Please go and show them some love and give them a subscription. And Apex Gaming Lorcana YouTube channel here, where you can actually go and watch the live stream games for the top 8. And we won't do it for that one, but let me know in the comments if you'd be interested in me doing a VOD review of one of the future ones, maybe for the second qualifier or for the 5K. We may look at doing that. So this tournament was 27 players, which may sound like a small field, but they're not all going to be 128 person tournaments. And I think realistically, bar like nationals and big regionals and stuff, a lot of our data is going to be from fields from around that size. But nonetheless, these are some great lists, and these players did really well to get to the top 8. And I'm not sure how many rounds there were. I'll try and double check that and put it in the description. But yeah, I think 27 players. It may sound like not a lot compared to some. We've been seeing 60 players, 128 players, but I think realistically that's going to be, more often than not, that's going to be about the size of a tournament pool that we're going to be taking data from. So we're going to take a look through these top 8 lists. And we're starting off with Steel Amber coming out on top once again. I've called this Steel Amber rocking all over the world, which won't catch on, and it doesn't exactly fly off the tongue. But yeah, like I was calling this Steel Amber rock songs because it's the Stitch variant, and we're not running Hakuna Matata or we've got Be Our Guest, but not a full count. But yeah, with the whole new world in here, I was like, yeah, we rocking all over the world. But let's take a look. We got 4 copies of Making a Wish Lilo, 4 copies of the Baby Stitch, and later on we see the 4 Rockstar, so that is one of our draw engines and just a power engine in general and good questing. We got 4 copies of Relentless Duelist Hook, and later on we see 2 copies of the Thinking a Happy Thought Captain Hook, which we've seen before. Really strong for literally being out. You can shift into that on turn 3, and then you can immediately play Whole New World or grab your swords. You don't even if you don't immediately play them. You're questing, you're challenging, you're annoying because it's got the Stolen Dust ability and can't be challenged with 3 cost or less characters. So by that part of the game, like by the next turn, hopefully they have a 4 cost, but they won't even be able to challenge with it until the turn after. So yeah, the Thinking Happy Thought Captain Hook, I think, gets a lot of value. We got 4 of the Protective Cup Simba. Obviously, mostly we want to be protecting that Lilo, but we can also be protecting that Cornered Swordsman Aladdin, which we've seen crop up a little bit. And in like maybe small accounts, but we are fully committed with 4 Cornered Swordsman Aladdin here. And I don't hate it, to be honest, because, you know, those are like 2 lore pips similar to Lilo. It's another, you can't get it out turn 1, but it's something else that like you can get that out turn 2, and then turn 3 it's being protected by Simba. And even if it is being challenged into with that big bulky, with that big strength of 2, which again isn't huge, but like, you know, that's not bad for a 2. We're used to 2 lore pip characters with 1 or 2 cost being like 1 strength, like the Lilo or the Maleficent in Amethist. But yeah, I can absolutely see why this got value. We've got 4 Prince Eric, we've got 4 of the Spectacular Singer, of course, for our singing engine. Only 3 copies of the Tiny Tactician Tink, which I do like a 4 of that. Just because it's a really good target to set up your Rapunzel play. But I don't mind the 3 count. Note that we don't see a Smee here, or I do think is sometimes worth considering because again, just so bulky and like helps you to set up Rapunzel. But only 3 Tiny Tacticians here. We do see the 4 Rapunzel. Again, in the previous top 8s, we were seeing a lot of only 2 counter Rapunzels, and I was questioning my sanity. And that is still up for debate. But nonetheless, we do see the 4 Rapunzel here. We talked about the Hook and the Stitch. 4 of the Big Tink makes sense. 2 Fire the Cannons. We're seeing a low count of these pop up more into Steel Amber songs, where I think when the deck first came to like popular eye, Fire the Cannons wasn't really a priority in it, and it was just a very low uninkable count sort of style. But Fire the Cannon does put in a lot of value, so I like a 2 count. 3 Smash I think is fair. I like the 4, but I think running 3 is fair enough. Only 3 of the Be Our Guest. Again, we don't have a huge song package here, but it is 10, and with a 60 card deck, that doesn't sound unreasonable to me to expect that your Spectacular Singer should be getting hits in. We don't see a Part of Your World, and we don't see a Hades, so no reuse of characters, but not all decks feel the need to do it, and this person actually won. So yeah, Nicholas, congratulations for your rocking all over the world. Very nice list. Next up, and highly represented in this top 8, is Ruby Amethyst Control. Just a 60 card variant. We've just got the 2 copies of Archimedes, which, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I personally don't feel like that's enough. But we do see 2 Gaston here, so I mean, fair enough. Like they are at a strict 60. But we'll go on. We see 4 copies of Broom, but no Mickey, which I absolutely love. I think that's absolutely fine. I really do. I'm liking seeing more not running Mickey, to be honest. I just don't think it's worth it. Only 2 Gaston. I like that's at a higher count, especially against it, like if you've got a big steel Amperfield. But at least some Ruby Amethyst have cut completely, which I don't like. So at least we see 2 here. Only 1 copy of the Snow Queen Elsa, but better one than none, because I do think she puts in work, like, you know, and only 10% of the time, really, in my opinion, is that shifting, although I'm sure it is happening more than 10% of the time. But 90% of the use in my head has always just been constant freeze every turn, unless they deal with it in a way. But if you've got we see the 1 Shield of Virtue later on, which I do think is a low count, but again, you can make it harder for them to deal with Elsa without burning their Maleficents, Dragonfires, or Genies, depending on what you're playing against. 4 Maleficent, only 2 Rafiki, 2 or 3 seems to be the standard count. We see 3 copies of the Street Rat Aladdin, which I do like. Again, I think it is a fair enough to cut, but I don't disagree with anyone wanting to play it. Just that extra, because Ruby Amethyst goes behind in the lore race so often, so it's nice to be able to, you know, bring that a little bit closer to even, and then hopefully late game you storm ahead with things like Brave Little Tailor, who we see later. So yeah, 3 count sounds reasonable. 2 Pongo, and that is the only evasive we have going on here, but I think that's fine. We don't, well, sorry, other than Brave Little Tailor, but we don't see Tiggers or Goofies, which are popping up a lot in Ruby Amethyst, which is a 2 count of Pongo here. Only 2 Queens, which is a bit of a tradition in most of the Ruby Amethyst lists we're going to look at in top 8. I like a higher count, but I mean, they're not running LeFou, they're not all in on Shield of Virtue, so they probably just didn't feel the need for it to be a higher count, which is fair enough. 4 Maui, 4 Ursula, all the way in on the Ursula, and we see the 4 Elsa. The uninkable count is 20. Although I've been reading a few articles lately, and like people that are a lot better at maths than me, sort of saying, to be honest, like 60 card deck, 20 uninkables, you should still have a high percentage chance to have 7 ink by turn 7. I don't know. In my opinion, like from my experience, like that means a lot of the time that you're sometimes committing ink to. Like, sometimes you're making unpreferable plays just to make sure that you're inking every turn. And, like, yeah, if you then get to be prepared and can clear the board, sometimes that's enough, but sometimes it's just not. So, I don't know. Like, again, I'm no mathematician. I'm no expert. I don't disagree that that's probably true. Like, your odds are perfectly fine to get 7 ink by turn 7 with a 60 card deck, 20 uninkables. But just in my playing experience, I'm not a fan of that percentile, but this person came second, did really well, and we see the full investment into Elsa and Ursula. So when that happens and they come second place like this, you can't deny, I can't say straight out, no, that's just wrong. Like, I want to understand, because to me that just, and in my experience, that just seems way too heavy. But this person did very well, so congratulations to them. 2 Brave Little Tailor, 4 Maleficent, all the way in on the Dragon's Fires as well at a 4 count. 4 Friends, 4 Be Prepared, only 1 Shield, as I said. 1 Pocket Watch, 2 Mirror. Again, I like with Pocket Watch, I think it's such an important card, especially in this deck. And I think any card you play, you have to assume you will ink one. So I would really like at least a 2nd count of that there, and I think you could cut one of the Ursulas and like that would be fine. But they did really, really well. Matthew, congratulations to them, and yeah, Ruby Amethyst Control, 60 cards, nice and simple. Well done. In third place, something a little bit different, which we're going to see another version of this soon, is Randall in third place with Emerald Amethyst. And I've started calling this Lockout, just because, like, I feel like that's kind of what this build of deck really wants. Again, the Amethyst is, you know, drawing cards, as well as the Rafiki and the Olaf for a bit more aggro. But generally speaking, it's just, like, it's kind of control, but not in the same way Ruby Amethyst is. Like, you're just stopping your opponent making the preferable plays. Like, whether it's with Flynn, you're making them discard, Jasper stopping them from questing, Tinkerbell making them need to either have evasive or play removal cards that they otherwise wouldn't really want to invest there. Kuzco makes them play a game in a way they don't really want to, as does Mad Hatter. Genie bouncing, John Silver and Mother Gothel are prime examples of, like, just locking the opponent out of the way they want to play the game. Mother knows best. So I think Lockout is a fine title for this type of deck. We see just the one Olaf and the 3 Megara later on for some strong aggro into, like, Simba and aggro decks. And we do see the 3 Rafiki, like I mentioned. 4 Pascal for some cheeky evasive and early lore. 3 Duke of Weaselton, 4 Flynn, 4 Maleficent, 4 Cheshire Cat. Only 3 Jasper. This is a 60 card deck, by the way, even though I forgot to put it on the title. 4 Hans, 4 Tink, 4 Kuzco, 4 Mad Hatter, 3 counter Genie here, which I think is we've talked a lot about some, like, Genie's card count is one of the most still up in the air, but 3 is slowly becoming the most common number I'm seeing. 3 John Silver is, like, not uncommon, but I've seen him less recently, and at least less. Like, if he is popping up, he's been in a lower card count. But I really like the 3 John Silver. I think it's such a slept-on card. Like, even though he is highly respected and you see him a lot, I still think he's slept on. Mother Gothel, I think, is really good. Nice 2 count. 4 friends, 3 Mother knows best. So, yeah, looks really good. Looks annoying. Looks simple. Again, some, like, card count that I'm sure some would disagree with. I don't necessarily disagree with much here. Like, I think I would. You've got the 3 Rafiki, so you don't really need any more Olafs, and you've got the 3 Duke of Weaselton as well. I don't know. That's just going to be preference, really, of what you're expecting your counts. But I can understand why they went that way. But yeah, congratulations to Randall. Next up in 4th place, we've got some Steel Amber classical songs. So a lot of this looks pretty standard. We've got the 4 Hook, 4 Eric, 4 Ariel, 4 Tink, 1 copy of Hades, which I really like, and we see 2 Parts of Your World later on. 4 Rapunzel, 3 Han seems to be the common number. We do see the 2 Moana here, which, you know, we see that a lot, and sometimes we don't see it at all. That's purely a preference call. I really like the Moana. I think she puts in a lot of work with that high quest, 6 willpower, and just, again, giving you more versatility in your princesses. Nice high beast count, and again, like, I've been saying for a while that I thought that 3 was probably just fine as a count for beast, but the lists that are doing the best with Steel Amber consistently seem to be running 4, so something to be said there. The next card we have is 2 Cerebrus. I'm sorry, I keep getting this wrong. Cerebrus. Good card. Ooh. Cerberus. We see 2 copies of Cerberus, which I really like. Nice, big, bulky 6 willpower. 4 big Tink. We see 4 of the Surfer Stitch. So obviously this has gone a different way to the Rockstar version. Big all in on the smash. 3 You Have Forgotten Me. I still think that's probably the right number. 4 Be Our Guest. 2 Part of Your World, as I said, for that. You know, recycling of your key characters. Just 3 Hakuna Matata. And 4 Grab Your Swords. So we've got 13 songs here, like, so really good odds for hitting them with Spectacular Singer. Again, I think 10 was fine for the list that we saw earlier, but 13 just, because it really does hurt to miss with Ariel. So yeah, I like this song count. The 2 Part of Your World, 1 Hades is I like in my current version of this deck. I'm on a 2-2 count because I think Hades is actually really good as well, just for being able to get a body on the field as well as recycling those Rapunzels, those beasts. You can also be a little bit more. If you've only got access to 1 big Tink by turn 4, but not a lot else going on in your hand, if you have got Hades a part of your world, you can be a bit more, like, unsafe with your first Tink, knowing that you can quite easily recycle another one. Again, board dependent and game state dependent. But yeah, I really like these counts. So yeah, some Steel Amber classical songs. Congratulations to John. Next up, we have Devon in 5th place with another Emerald Amethyst lockout. Slightly different counts here. We see the three Olaf this time, but no Duke of Weaselton. So a lower count of that 1-drop overall. Well, but we also see the 4 Pascal. But yeah, 1 less 1-drop. 4 Flynn, 3 Megara again, 4 Maleficent, 2 Rafiki, 4 Cheshire Cat. This time 4 Jasper, 2 Peter Pan. We see the evasive Peter Pan in this list, which I don't think we saw in the previous one. 4 Hans, 4 Tink, 4 the standard counts of Kuzco, Mad Hatter. There's the 3 Genie again, and we do see the 3 John Silver again. I like it. Just the 1 copy of Befuddle, which I think is fine. I also think you could cut that if you want, but I don't hate running it. You know, again, in fact, no, I wouldn't cut it. I would keep it, just because, again, like in the mirror, or at least the Emerald mirror, like sometimes you both draw as well as each other, and it's just a race, and sometimes just 1 Befuddle can just put you that turn ahead. So yep, I really like that. 4 Friends and 3 Mother Knows Best. So yeah, pretty similar to the one we saw before. A couple of card differences and a couple of card count differences, mostly the Peter Pan and then the Duke of Weaselton and Olaf stuff. But no, looks good. Did very well. Congratulations to Devon. Next up, we've got Franklin with another Ruby Amethyst control. Once again, 60 cards. We see the 4 Archimedes. So, you know, like a couple of lists we looked at recently have been running the 6 1-drops, but so far we're seeing just 4 or even just 2. But that's fine. 4 Broom, and we do see the 4 Mickey later on, so all in on the Mickey package. We see the 4 Gaston, which I like, 4 Maleficent, 2 Rafiki. Again, the 3 Street Rat is becoming a lot more popular, a lot more common to see as a card count and include, because not all Ruby Amethyst are running the Aladdin. We do see the 4 Queen here, which I really like, with the 2 Shield of Virtue later on. 4 Maui, 4 Aladdin, only 2 Elsa, which I think is absolutely, especially if you're running a full Mickey package, I don't think you need more. I think 2 Elsa is absolutely fine. 4 Maleficent, 4 Dragon's Fire. I'd even like to see that at a 3 count with a full Mickey package, to be honest, but 4 is also fine. 4 Be Prepared, 4 Friends, the 2 Shield, 1 Pocket Watch, and 2 Mirror. Yeah, I think absolutely -1 Dragonfire and +1 Pocket Watch, because it's just such an important card, especially if you're running the full Mickey package and you want to get a nice Broom Loop turn off. You want to raise those odds that you're seeing it and not having to ink it. And yeah, I would definitely like to see that. I mean, if I'm running a full Mickey package like that, I'm running 3 Pocket Watch, if I'm honest. But at the very least, I would like to see another watch, and I think Dragon's Fire is a fine card. Or one of your Mickeys. Or your Aladdin, you know, it's probably one of those 3 for the second Pocket Watch. But other than that, this looks really nice. Again, another Ruby Amethyst that is only running 60 cards, so there is going to be one that's a Toolbox version. But yeah, we're seeing a good mix of Ruby Amethyst at over and on 60 cards doing well. So better version unconfirmed. We shall see in the future, maybe. Next up in 7th place, and spoilers, I'm going to tell you, 8th place is Ruby Amethyst as well. This is that Toolbox variant that I was telling you about, 65 cards. I don't know if it's Levi or Levi or Levy. But yeah, 65 card Toolbox control, which is my favourite version of Ruby Amethyst. Only the 3 Archimedes, but the 3 Magic Broom and no Mickeys. Love that. We see the 3 LeFou in this list, but only 2 Queen. We see the 2 Shield as well. So I think you could I really think I would like that at a higher count and just raise those odds for turn 5 Queen, and then just being, if they don't deal with it immediately, or can't, then from turn 6, whether it's Shield or LeFou, it's just like getting some extra card draw off that. But we see the 3 Elsa Snow Queen, which again I really like. I think she's a really good card. And later on we see 4 of the shifted one. But again, 65 cards, okay, fair enough. 4 Maleficent, 3 Rafiki in this particular list, which again I think is right if you're running the Toolbox variant. 3 Aladdin again. We talked about the Queen. We see the 2 Goofy this time, no Pongo, but just the 2 Goofy, which, you know, I think that could be higher, but I think 2 is also fine. It's the 3 Maui, which is the... Yeah, that's the only thing I really don't like in this list. I just like, again, I think we saw a Ruby Amethyst before that top 8 that was only running 3, and my response was, I know that in the mirror especially there comes a point where like it becomes kind of dead, like especially if they've got shields, or aren't playing cards other than like, you know, they're baiting out you to play your stuff first and you end up just inking them, but I still think it's such an important card, so I'd like to see that at 4. Only 2 Ursula, which I think is fine. Again, I've talked about Ursula a lot before, like, if this is your first time finding me in the channel, I think that Ursula is such a good card, but I just think Ruby Amethyst Control already wants to play so many high-end cards and uninkables that for me she's a consistency card, but we are seeing her come up in nearly every single Ruby Ruby Amethyst top 8 list, so I can happily be wrong because I do think she's great. 4 Aladdin, which we like. We see the 4 high count of Elsa, but again 65 cards, fair enough. 2 Brave Little Tailor, 4 Maleficent, 4 Dragon's Fire. I think that should probably be a 3 count, and you switch it like you add the Maui. 4 Friends, 4 Be Prepared, 2 Shield, 2 Mirror. We see the 2 Ursula's Cauldron this time, which I really like. I think 1 or 2 are both fine counts and just a preference. We do see the 2 Pocket Watch here, which I really, really like. So, yeah, this looks really nice. I'd like a higher counter Queen, and I think I'd like to be all in on the Maui. Like, off the top of my head, like I'm going to at least 3 Queen, I think. With the like at least 3 Queen. So if I want to make 2 spaces here, then I'm probably cutting 1 Dragon's Fire, and then either one of the Ursulas or one of the LeFous, so that I can go to 3 Queen, 4 Maui. But again, preference calls, and this person came 7th, did really, really well, and again, Toolbox control is my favourite, so I always like to see it do well, so congratulations to them. And finally, in 8th place, we've got Zarek with another Ruby Amethyst control. This time only 60 cards. 4 Archimedes, 3 Gaston, 3 Elsa. She's cropping up in popularity, which we love to see. 4 Maleficent, 2 Rafiki, all in on the Aladdin this time. Bit of spice, the Keeper of Secrets Jafar, which was quite popular when the game first came out in Ruby Amethyst, but it very quickly fell off, and I think rightfully so. I actually originally said I actually think the other Jafar, the Challenger 3 or Challenger 4, the one that can go up to 5 strength with its Challenger, was better just because it's so important to hit 5, and I still ended up cutting my version of that. I just think it's a bit too much of a high roll card, this Jafar. Like, the 2 Lore Pips is nice, but... And again, when you do have that nice big hand as Ruby Amethyst, which sometimes too often you have, it feels nice to have a really cheap, big strength guy. But we've seen him fall out of contention like for a while, even though for me so far it's the best art in the game. Love Jafar. But yeah, we see a 2 count here. Only 2 Queen again. No shields in this list. So yeah, I suppose if you're not going to run shields, then you definitely wouldn't. Well, you would definitely not run LeFou, but we don't see it. And yeah, okay, I really like Queen, but we see 2 here. 2 Goofy again. We see the 4 Maui, 3 Aladdin. I'm not a fan of at all. We've seen it once or twice in lists that we're only running 3. I just think it's too important. I really, really do. But we see 4 of the Baby and 3 of the Heroic Outlaw. Interesting. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that personally, but this person did very well, so it's not a dig at them, it's just my preference on, I think Aladdin is so strong, I think you need 4. Only 3 Elsa, which I think is a good count. 2 Mickey, 4 Maleficent, 2 Befuddle, which I really like, especially because you're like, I think 4 1-drops is the bare minimum, and then you still need... Like, I prefer higher count for aggro. But if you're running 2 Befuddle, and at least we see 2 Rafiki here, that seems fine to me. 4 Dragon's Fire, 4 Friends, 4 Be Prepared, 2 Magic Mirror seems to be becoming the standard. 1 Cauldron in this list, and only 1 Pocket Watch again, which again, I've said a million times, I would like that at a higher count. I think it's really important. But we're not all in on Aladdin, so maybe it's not as important. But yeah, this person did really well. 60 card variant once again. So yeah, Ruby Amethyst is... It's not top tier. It's not the deck anymore. I think Steel Amber is probably the deck, but Ruby Amethyst, as it stands, ain't going nowhere. And that's it for our top 8 deck list for the TCG Player Invitational number 1. We will have, as I said, we'll be reviewing the second one, which is on the 14th. So I'll be as soon as the deck lists come out, I'll be much quicker in getting up my review of that. And of course, we'll cover the 5K one, which is towards the end of the month. And yeah, let me know in the comments if you'd be interested in me reviewing one of the VODs from either or both of those tournaments. Thank you so much for watching. If you are brand new to the channel,